Classes in session. How you doing? And welcome to Unlearn 16 Classes in Session. Guys, it's just going to be me today. And it's not the best of days. I'm filming this on Monday night. I'm going to drop the podcast tomorrow morning. So just so everybody has a little bit of context, just recently, we obviously have seen Florida and all the book banning and the curriculum changing and the banning of education and critical theories and African studies courses and all of that going on there. We then shift to that small school in Florida that actually forced the resignation of a principal because they had the audacity to teach the statue David in art class, and they deemed it to be it was obscene, and we should have had a note coming home, and how dare you take this out of our hands. And you have that fight. And on the tails, or in the realm of all of this, you have the argument and the hatred and the vilification of the trans community as the Don't Say Gay bill and all of this anti-trans legislation is sweeping over. And then today, you have another, and I don't even know the total of how many, but you have another mass shooting, looking it up right today, mass shooting today. 6 people were killed, 3 9-year-olds and 3 faculty. Now, I can't get into who and the why and the whatever, but my question isn't who and the why, because let's be honest, I don't know if it, of course it matters, the person matters, but there is something broken here, guys. There is something fundamentally broken. I was looking up gun-related fatalities and the amount, the numbers, the sheer numbers in the United States put them third highest gun-related fatalities in the world. Just numbers, not per capita, just numbers. Per capita, they're still in this top, 15. And this one, a 28-year-old, I do know that she was 28, walked into a school and purposefully, seemingly, aimed for 9-year-olds. I was all set to come in here and talk about the David and why we're not teaching it, and the vilification of these communities and taking this out and this censorship and that control. And then this. And when I hear something like this happen again, I don't know what way to turn anymore. When we seem to be occupied with the most asinine, mundane, embarrassing uses of control and censorship and vilification in order to give the pretense of safety. And yet, mass shootings in 2023 in the US. Let's see what this number is. In only 3 months, the United States has surpassed 100 mass shootings in 2023. 100. What are we doing? What are we distracting ourselves from? And to be honest, I'm not even going to sit here and say ban all the guns, or I would love to. I get it. But for the love of God, how is this particular subject not pervading every Senate committee, every town hall meeting, every conversation going on with education, defund education? Are you insane? How are we not funding education to the hilt? How are we not putting every single extra dollar that the United States has, how are we not filing it into studies, psychiatric report, mental health facilities, educational facilities, teachers? How? How, guys? I start to look at these things in connection. And unfortunately, I start to come to some pretty horrific conclusions. All of the arguments and the discussions and the debates and the committees and the government funded blah, 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 seems like it's all just fancy dancing. It's all distraction. It's all, look at the shiny object over here. I'm going to handle this. I'm going to control this. I'm going to limit this to make you safe. And then 3 9-year-olds are shot. And none of that has anything to do with protecting and actually creating safety and security. None of it. Thomas Hobbes, unfortunately, is a political philosopher who came up with one of the, in my opinion, most significant and valid quotes or main ideas of any political philosophy, which is, people will give up all of their freedoms in the anticipation, in the promise of safety and security. Let me say that again. People will give up all of their inherent freedoms, a lot of their civil rights, in order for the promise of safety, security, and here's a real kicker, stability. And what it seems as though politicians are promising is they're promising all of this censorship, all of this control, all of this, book burning mentality, if you will. Banning the David. Are we insane? They're doing it and they're getting away with it because they're promising safety and security. And the funny part is, we're getting more and more insecure and unsafe every single day. The funny thing is, we're allowing politicians to override doctors and science. We're allowing politicians to take away the rights of educators and classroom curriculums in order to say, this is what I want, this is what I need. And we're giving way to all of that. We're censoring, we're firing, every step we go in promise of more safety and security. And they keep pointing out the enemy. They keep pointing out the minority who is easily distinguishable, easily marginalized, easily called out, and they're pointing at them and saying it's their fault. And right now, we all know who they're pointing at. We all know who they're pointing at. And they're doing it because they're easy to point at. They're easy because it's a small group of people that the majority of Americans may not understand or have a connection with. They're pointing at this community of LGBTQ2 plus individuals. They're pointing at the trans community. They're pointing at these individuals as the issue, as the security breach that needs to be fixed, as the thing that's damaging our society. And the more that they do this, the bigger this gets, the more seemingly we're seeing mass shootings and school shootings accelerate. And the more that we feel we're in a violent state, the promises of protection just become exacerbated, right? It's like, listen, we're going to burn all these books. We're going to get rid of all these books because this is the underbelly. This is the flaw in our society that's making you unsafe. This is the thing that's attacking your kids. So we're going to burn these books. And then when the attacks and the violence happen anyway, instead of saying, oh no, that wasn't it, we went the wrong way, that's not fixing anything, they double down. Watch them double down. They're going to double down on, well, we didn't burn enough books. We didn't limit enough people. We didn't close these doors soon enough. And they're just going to escalate their demands for more power to control, for more power to oppress, for more power to point bigger fingers at minorities and blame them and wait for everything to get better. And when it doesn't, the whole cycle starts over again. I'm baffled because the story of violence and guns and this seeming level of desperation, nobody's having the honest, open conversations that start with a very calm, a very clear, this all needs to stop. What are we doing wrong? What are we not doing? And I want to hear that from every single politician. What psychologists do we have to engage? What ideologies do we have to bring in? What other countries do we have to look at? What are we doing? What is the United States doing that has put us third on that list? What? And I mean, and again, do I want to ban them all? Sure. I would love to erase a lot of things that have already been invented. But let's just consider that's not the only thing we need to do. Right? Let's consider there has to be a lineup of things. There has to be an onslaught of money spent in order to meet the needs of this crisis. You want to talk about a crisis? This is it. Little kids going to school and somebody walking in and deciding with whatever rage and desperation they have that this is the day, nothing else matters. Where's our outrage? Where's our money? Pour how many trillions of dollars into the military? Everybody's so freaking worried about how much money we spend on the military. Why in this era are we not spending it on the mental health of the United States? Why are we not spending it on the healthcare? Why are we not spending it on education? How about we just try something we never tried before? How about the United States pours? And I mean pours. Its resources, its talent, its educated brilliance, its progress, all of the things they claim to have in abundance. Healthcare, and by healthcare I mean all healthcare. In Canada, I'm talking to you here because if we don't start considering mental health as being necessary and the need for it to be universal, this is going to escalate. And education. Pour money into it so that the teachers who are in these schools are getting paid well. They feel that they're in safe environments in the sense that they have a strong connection to community and they have a strong, safe space to be. But instead of this, we're going to get more. Watch. We all know how this works. Thoughts and prayers, really sad apologies. We bring out the story of the shooter. We simply demonize the shooter, the lone, deranged, broken, Please insert name here. And then we forget. And then we expunge the reality that those people aren't born, they're made. They're not just made by parents, they're not just made by a school, they're made by a society that something's broken. And we're so quick to rally up, and we're so easily led to say, well, we just got to have bigger guns, taller fences, better cameras, better security. Everything is getting more fully armed, and we wonder why people then turn to violence. A long time ago, oh God, I don't even know how many years ago, Michael Moore did a movie called Bowling for Columbine. Every year, I showed to my students. Bowling for Columbine focused on Columbine shootings. I don't even know what year it was. And he tried to figure out in this documentary what happened. What happened? Why did it happen? And it's called Bowling for Columbine because right before the kids did what they did, they walked in and they killed how many people was it at that particular point. It's amazing. They all start to blend in. 12 students murdered and one teacher. Right before they did that, they went bowling with their gym class. And Michael Moore really goes into it, and it's funny because he goes into gun control, even though he believes in gun ownership. He goes into places like Walmart, where you have, such easy access, and a bank where you open a new account and get a gun, for the love of God. But he tries to get at what the culture is saying, what it has bred, And in 1999, which is when it took place, it was not this one off, but it was just so insane and so outrageous. And now it's become monthly. Now it's become common. Is that what we're expecting? And from 1999, did we pour money into healthcare and mental health? Do we pour money into education? No, we did none of those things. Under different presidents and different political parties, we fought about things like, well, if every American just had a gun, and then the other side would say, no, let's burn all the guns. The ridiculousness of the extremes and the lack of consideration for doing something else, something that hasn't been done. We keep making mistakes, and it gets worse and worse and worse. And rather than changing the course of action, we just do it more. So I look at this, what I initially was going to come on here and talk about, and censorship and control, and the talk of tradition, and the talk of how we get people back on track. And right now, who seems to be the targeted minority we can point to and say it's all their fault if we just control them. And then this happens, and I want it to say, sure, this is going to make a difference. Instead, what I fear is that everybody gets more scared. They'll be more willing to give up more willing to crack down harder, more fixated as the majority to blame the minority, to get a targeted group that is easily identifiable, to make sure, to point the finger at and say it's all them. We know what this sounds like. And it's nothing new. It's nothing original. It's nothing that hasn't been done for thousands of years. It's giving people an easy solution that is no solution. It is giving people the pretense of doing something in order to make them safer, even though the two have no connection to each other whatsoever. But it's in doing that, it seems as though, it can feel as though they're actually getting something done and things are going to change. The delusion of security is our ridiculous downfall. The delusion of that any one governor can somehow single-handedly change the flow of culture and the flow of violence that has been going on with the stroke of a pen, that any one congressman, that any one senator. None of them, not a single one, can do it alone. But they're so busy, guys, jockeying for position, jockeying for popularity, jockeying for more power and more privilege. And they're doing it with the promise of safety, security, and stability, none of which have been met. These asinine promises that the public keeps buying as though it has ever happened. And we all talk circles around each other, and we fight with one another, and we talk about the hatred of one another consistently, rather than focusing on the issue. What do we do? How do we fix this problem? How do we fix it? How do we do something we've never done before? Let's just start there. How about you go into Congress tomorrow and say, something new needs to be done. We have, as a collective, been wrong. We haven't done anything right. And here we are. Here we are. Start looking, seriously looking and listening. Stop being... We have a problem of this sort of ethnocentric superiority complex in both Canada and the United States sometimes, of thinking, well, what are the best of the best? We got it on lock. My kid has an Apple computer. I'm driving a nice car to work. We have nice areas, right? We have all this money. We have billionaires over here. We got it. We're doing it right. But our kids can't go to school without practicing active shooter drills. We need to adjust. What the hell a victorious, a healthy, an amazing society looks at and looks like. Because I'll be damned if we're going to keep using the same indicator of money and acquisition and mass consumption. People can't go to the hospitals because they don't have any money and they have no insurance. They're dying. People can't get any serious, significant, consistent mental health treatment. And we're wondering why this is erupting in chaos and violence. We're not competing on an educational level throughout the world. And we think it's because, well, we need to bring back the standardized tests and stop mucking, keep those kids in line, get back to reading, writing, and arithmetic. Are you joking? We're not spending nearly enough money on being innovative, creative, dynamic thinkers and adjusting our education system to the new information we know about the human psyche and the human mind. Why? Because we're smarter than we were 50 years ago, but we don't want to spend the money to change it. We are on the precipice of an education system right now that requires serious innovation. It requires a huge influx of money. Just like the invention of new technology. Why the hell do we just think that an MRI machine requires this huge investment? That new cancer treatments, that all of these technological things, getting rockets to go to the moon, getting to go to Mars, and we can't figure out how to better create an educational system to benefit our whole population and the kids within it? Our priorities are broken. Broken. And as the adults are sitting around fighting like this, students are wearing bulletproof backpacks to school. How are we supposed to get anything done? How are we supposed to trust anybody? How are we supposed to feel safe when we're not putting enough money and enough energy into those three fundamental, foundational realities of the United States? How? Can't begin to fix a problem if we're not going to accept that we have one. And the more deluded we stand here, Canadian and American alike, popping our collars, talking about how we're the best on the block, it will crumble. It is crumbling. For what? For what? A new car? A $50 million mansion? For a new iPhone each month? We're winning? Are we winning? We're winning what? What are we winning? We have communities that have been divided. We have educational systems that are being shredded and gutted. We have this ridiculous regression of education, regression of ideas, claiming that what? If we all revert back to the way things were when? Everybody needs a new lens, a new way of looking at things. I don't know how many more times this can happen, and we consistently get distracted by this other bullcrap that's going on. We watch this whole TikTok ridiculous hearing. What's it all about? Money. Money. Who's got it? Who's making it? And who wants some of it? That's it. We care about the voices of people. Do we care about their health, their education? Are we joking? We need a complete innovative system. We need every dollar we can spare. That's where it needs to go. All the people sitting around going, it's not the guns, not the guns, not the guns. Cool. I'm going to go with you for a minute. Fine. Let's not ban a single thing. But how about this? However much money is spent on guns per year, how about we take that money and we pour it into education? We double that money, we pour it into healthcare. How about we take our military spending and redirect it to the cracks and the crumbling of our foundation? I'm not going to fight your Second Amendment. Really is a ridiculous fight at the moment anyways. But then, how dare the other side not put their money where their mouth is and fund something useful, fund something powerful, fund something for the love of God, do something different, do something new, invest in the health and the well-being of the next generation. You want to just do it? You want it? just to the kids 18, up to 18. They get full health care, 100% covered. They get full mental health care anytime they want it, anywhere they want to get it. Covered. Period. Taxes are paying for it. Start there. Start there. Because if we don't recognize these broken foundations and we keep arguing distraction and we keep jockeying for position, everything else is going to crumble. And we're going to sit around and watch it happen while we're screaming from the rooftops the same old crap that we've already been screaming. So, stop pointing. Stop looking anywhere other than you, your community, your city, your state, and start demanding they physically, mentally, emotionally use those tax dollars and take care of their population tomorrow. They can vote for that. Who's going to stand against it? I want to see somebody stand in the House or a state legislature and say that the mental health and the physical health of our next generation isn't worth tax dollars. I want them to say it out loud so I know where they stand. I know who they are. We have the right to, U.S. Constitution talks about life, liberty, and property. Life? The first one is life. How healthcare and mental health care and even education aren't aspects of that constitutional underpinning, that the main driving force. Life. How dare you? How dare you allow a society to obscure, to opaque the windows so we can't look at the actual rot from underneath, and you keep painting over it with bills to ban To Kill a Mockingbird? Talk about teachers who have spent 30 years teaching and they're somehow indoctrinated by ideology to manipulate your kid? Are you crazy? It's all lies. It's misdirection, it's lies, it's fanfare. You know what it is, guys? It's the gladiator arena. It's the circus that came to town that they give to you for free to distract you from where the money and the power and the resources are really going. It's Big Brother. It's reality TV that's meant to give you the illusion of reality, keeping you entertained and visibly distracted while they don't do anything. And I'm not just sitting here blaming politicians. I'm not actually, I'm not blaming politicians at all. Want to know why? Because politicians only do what people tell them to do. And they tell them en masse. We tell them with our vote, or we tell them with our lack thereof. 50% of the population doesn't vote. Why should they care about what you have to say? We tell them in between elections, when we protest, when we write letters, when we write emails, when we go to town hall meetings, when we're a part of the political system from the roots up. 115 million people are on TikTok. They think they're going to shut it down? Not if they all talk, they don't. Not if every single one of them didn't write a letter tomorrow. This is no different. Politicians do what we empower them to do. And once we've given them the mandate to govern, and we don't consistently tell them when they're stepping out of line and they're not following what we want. Like, who the hell doesn't want universal health care? Is somebody sitting at home saying, I don't want it? Is somebody sitting at home saying that's not a good deal? I understand listen, I understand why politicians don't want to jump into it. I get that. It's freaking landmines of like cost and putting it into effect and responsibility. They don't want any of that. Too damn bad. The voter gets to say. And we've created this culture of apathy and disenfranchisement from a system. And then we wonder why they do exactly what they want to do when they dance and they jockey and they ban a book and they take away, us learning about the statue of David, and they point and they say, it's that group over there. Don't worry, I got it. And we buy it. And we buy it. We buy it when they say no new taxes, but don't worry, social services are going to get better. We buy it when they say the previous government just did this, this, and this, but we buy it when they tell us that it's not in our best interest to have fully funded, covered medical and health system in this country. Are you insane? We buy it when we start to hear things like charter schools and taking away the Department of Education and taking away any consistent rules or consistent educational frameworks and models and accredited representatives and expert actually creating the system so it fits our agenda. And we buy it. And we believe, or we trick ourselves into believing, that this time, when I trade this, when I give this, when they promise this, it's going to change. It's going to get better. There shouldn't be any other conversation on the books. Nothing. Every letter should be laws and money, and change needs to happen tomorrow. I don't want to hear a single thought in prayer. I don't want to hear a single thought in prayer because it means nothing unless there's a law on the books and change in the air. It means nothing. Oh, and on that note, guys, I'm going to leave you with all of those deep thoughts, and I'm sorry for how serious this one was. But I don't know what else to do with it anymore than be 100% honest with what we have to do as a citizenry. Not what they have to do. Not what the government has to do, politicians have to do, what you have to do. So as of tomorrow, get doing it. I'll see you next week. Same bat time, same bat station. Bye, guys. Dismissed.